We've got something a little different for you on this week's Shootout. A welcome return of a couple of past masters. BMW's original M3 and the Lancia Delta Integrale. Both are icons from the 80s. The M3 dominated on the circuits, while the Integrale dominated rallying. Our Integrale has been cherished by Steve Brennan from new. It's got a turbocharged 2-litre engine with 200 horsepower. It's four-wheel drive, but the torque favours the rear wheels. Aaron Weddell's M3 is immaculate, despite having covered over 170,000 miles. It is slightly less powerful than the Lancia, but I can't see there being much between the two. Back in the late 80s, this was the car to have, the very first BMW M3. It wasn't just the car to have on the roads, it was homologated by BMW as a racing special, and it dominated touring car racing in Germany, in Britain, in fact all over the world. The amazing thing now is that it only has 190 horsepower, which with the modern M3, the latest one with its 343 horsepower, which makes this sound like a Morris 1000 in comparison. It really is hard to believe that this is a car that is now nearly 20 years old. But the fantastic thing about it is the steering is still taut and responsive, there's no play, the chassis seems tight, the gearbox, the change is as neat as they ever were. And the little 2.3-litre straight-4 engine is still happily revving to 7,000 RPM. Second gear for the hairpin. Kicking arse. The classic BMW handling. Oh, bit of a swerve. Winding up for a lap time to set for the Lancia Delta Integrale. The M3 sets the pace with a lap time of 56.97 seconds. And so, from rear-wheel drive to four-wheel drive, from Germany to Italy, another motorsport homologation special, the Lancia Delta Integrale, designed to take on the world of rallying, which of course it did with huge success, winning the World Championship several times in the late 80s. The secret here, a bit like any four-wheel drive, is not to push it into the corner very quickly, but to get the speed down, turn it, and then use that four-wheel drive traction to fire it out of the corners. This is going to be hard to predict. I don't feel as fast in this, but once straight and whoosh, up to boost, we're away. Oh, we're touching something on the bodywork because it rolls to the left. There's a crow in the road. Massive understeer, and Steve's picking up. All right, Steve, don't worry, Steve. He's looking worried. Ignore that noise, Tiff. I'm sure it's nothing wrong with Steve. That won't be cured with just a little bit of body filler or something like that. At radar, the Integrale is just a bonnet badge behind. By the hairpin, the times are identical. But it's the Integrale that edges ahead to win by just a couple of tenths of a second. So the Lancia won the day. But the intriguing thing now is to see where two icons of the 80s fit into my shootout lap times of the modern-day machinery. And we enter the Delta's time. It comes in right down in 29th place. Pop in the BMW as well, just behind it, the M3 E30. Whose lap time, Tom, was
56.97 for the BMW.
2/10 slower. And enter that, and there it is right behind. 29th, 30th places overall.
Yeah, that sounds really slow, Tiff. I mean, first thing to establish, we actually tried.
And I was, no, flat out. The owners were great. They said, go on, Tiff, have a go. And I did.
I'm absolutely speechless. I mean, those two cars were cars we all dreamt of owning. I mean, they were just fabulous bits of kit. And I mean, it's not that much faster than a Ford Transit van.
Oh, no, come on.
Look at that, we've got the Mitsubishi Colt CZT, the car that you didn't like, 150 horsepower.
That's what really
How
upsets
can that
me.
be faster?
That's what upsets me. It's just behind the Mitsubishi Colt.
How can that be?
Well, the point is, you know, they're both 20 years old, you know, and that BMW's got 170,000 miles on the clock, so instead of having 190 horsepower, now it's only got about 160, 165. And both those cars are heavier than the Mitsubishi, so more weight, not much power, and they're slower.
But I actually remember that when you drove that CZT, you were constantly moaning about the traction control, and these two, both no driver aids at all, so does this make you yearn for the good old days of no traction control and no interference?
Because good modern performance cars, you can switch the traction off and go faster around a track. So, of course, nowadays, I mean, you've got more power. You've got the saloons with 500 horsepower, the new M3's got 343, so, of course, I prefer the modern car, but they're a joy to drive, just not enough power.